Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to the channel. On this page, I talk about technology and money, sometimes hockey, or trending news. I hope everyone is having a good week so far, or if you're just taking it one day at a time, I hope you're having a good day. I want to talk about today an interesting concept that I came across today. Actually, at work, it was mentioned by another senior leader. As some of you know, I'm a registered nurse. I work in tech, I'm a registered nurse, but I work in a non-traditional registered nurse role. My career is the work that I do is completely in tech. It's a traditional technology role. And I heard one of our technology leaders mention a concept today in a meeting called the career lattice. And when they said that, I was like, oh, they must mean the career ladder. I didn't say it out loud, but I just thought in my head, I was like, oh, they must mean the career lattice. But as they went on to explain, and then after the meeting, I started doing a little bit more research. And interestingly enough, I'm subscribed to many different technology newsletters. I'd received a technology newsletter about 2 days prior to I believe today, that mentioned the career lattice. And I didn't even realize, when did this newsletter come to me? I did not even realize, actually it came on Friday. But I didn't get a chance to really read it until today. As I was cleaning up my inbox at the end of the day and kind of going through some things. But the labor market, y'all, and the shifts in the labor market is really interesting from what I've read since I've learned a little bit more about this career lattice and how it's replacing the career ladder. You think about, there's been a lot of talk over the past few months and over the last year or so about the shift in the labor market. Actually, a little bit before that, because you think about what happened during the pandemic, and right after that, people were talking about quiet quitting at their jobs, or doing as little work as possible while still benefiting off of, having all the same expectations around salary and compensation and bonuses, and the annual raise that you get as well. People still had these expectations. Not a lot of, some people still had these expectations around salary and compensation, but they were just doing as little work as possible, or quiet quitting, or just leaving their position all along. But what I've been reading about is that the labor market is now shifting away from the employee, and that power dynamic is now going back. The power is now transferring from the employees to hiring managers, and how more workers are staying at their current companies or in their current roles, even if they're not necessarily happy about that. It is really interesting. I'm going to share an article here from Korn Ferry here in a moment, but you think about how so many folks who work in that HR, or the articles have been about upskilling. I've done a couple of videos about digital upskilling. There's a couple of YouTube channels that I follow on here, like ACD for nurses. She's a nurse who works in HIM informatics type role. There's Black Women Making Money. There's Women in Linux. There's Erica Williams. There's just a host of channels. There's JT Automations. There's a host of channels with folks here on social media, this platform, talking about, upskilling, ensuring that you're ready, wherever you're working, no matter what level you are at, wherever you're working, ensuring that you are upskilling and preparing yourself. So this whole concept around the labor market shift and how the career lattice is replacing the career ladder was fascinating to me, because it's such a new concept. And it definitely ties into, what folks have been talking about in terms of preparing for the next step in your career. Because it's elite. Okay, speaking totally from like a nursing standpoint, we have the career ladder. Many hospitals, health systems, and other traditional healthcare organizations have the career ladder. And there's also like technology companies, right, as well, that have that career ladder where you're going from like a level 1 to a level 2 to a level 3, maybe a level from a level 3 to like a technology lead or a product management product developer type lead to like a senior director, or that type of ladder, like it's clear progression. But based on what is new around, what's new in the labor market, that promotion, like how people traditionally think about being like going into a role and being promoted, is they're now saying that just doing that, like whether you're being promoted in the company that you're working at, or even if you leave and go to a different company, right? A lateral move, doing that promotion alone may not be the best way to obtain a job that pays very well, not only pays well, but is compensated very high, but also having some satisfaction around that as well. I heard someone else, another YouTuber, talking today about, would you rather earn would you rather earn a fast nickel or a slow dime? So would you rather, do what you can to make as much money right now as possible? Or would you rather invest in and make it so that you may not make as much money right now, but in the long term, because you invested in that slow dime, you actually end up making more with the slow dime in the long term versus what you would make with the fast nickel in the short term. All right, so I'm gonna like totally share my screen, and as usual, it is sharing. I'll be sure to leave a link to all references in the description box once the YouTube video is over. So here we go. The career lattice. What is it? So new. Again, some folks may have heard of it. I have not. This is new to me. So it says the best 5 ways to know your best career lattice. Okay. So as workers prepare for their annual performance reviews, and I'm going to pause there and say, I know some companies are on the calendar year. So the performance review year goes from January to December. There are some companies where the annual year, the fiscal year, runs from like July to June. So however that time frame goes. But anyway, as workers prepare for their performance reviews, they may be dismayed to learn that employers anticipate handing out smaller pay raises and fewer promotions. Okay. And so Korn Ferry, if you don't know, Korn Ferry is very similar to like a Deloitte, like a McKinsey, those type of companies that do like deep insights and research and analyze trends and make projections. Okay, so that's who Korn Ferry is. But it says they say the obvious response for many, like you think about, okay, I want a bigger salary or more compensation and or a promotion. Most people think, okay, I want to move up the career ladder, but experts are now saying that's actually outdated. The smart thing to do is develop a career lattice in which they can take roles at the same level or even lower. Now that made my eyes poke up because, okay, even lower than what I already am, again, back to that fast nickel versus a slow dime. While learning skills that will pay, but you do that while learning skills that will pay in career dividends later. The old way to think about getting promotion every 1 year or 2 is antiquated. Interesting. So they say it's all about position. So lateral career moves or moving along the career lattice can help you gain additional skills and experience, as well as helping you get new relationships, new connections that will help you out in the long term. So what does that mean? Like transitioning your mindset to a career lattice versus that traditional career ladder. Now, some people will say, okay, well, if I'm not getting more money or better compensation in terms of bonuses and opportunities or promotion, just leave that company and go to another one and just like job hop. That's what to me, that's what I was like, okay. But they're saying less people are actually doing that. So if you do explore this career lattice, 5 things to think about. Number 1, don't be limited by a career ladder. They say very few roles these days offer pure next step progression. So instead of limiting your progression, that lattice allows you to continue learning and growing by providing opportunities that broaden your skill set, perspective, and the value you bring. So that goes to me goes back to like upskilling or digital upskilling. That's number 2, trying on a new role, looking for opportunities that may stretch you, or do shadow assignments on different teams. Or if there's another team within that company, if the company is, if you feel comfortable enough staying there, seeing what other teams are doing, right? Within, especially if you're in a large organization, and seeing if there are opportunities there for you to learn. Because they said doing that will allow you to establish credibility and get comfortable with your new role before you fully commit to it. Now, this is interesting. The reason why I say this is interesting, because I met with a technology executive, totally not in what I do in my current job, but at the same organization, but totally different than what I do. And very interested in what their team are doing within the organization and what they're preparing to do. And when I had a conversation with them, I met with that person one time, and we exchanged emails, and then they sent me some additional resources. Some resources were like the kind that you had to pay for, but they paid for me to actually access those resources. But one thing that person said to me in the conversation that I had with them about, showing some interest in what they were doing and expressing, they said, taking, like, reading up on these things and exploring these resources and letting me know what you think about them, and consistently showing up and doing some other things they mentioned, actually out of their mouth they said it will help establish your credibility and help you get a better understanding of the work that my teams do as you stay in your current role. So he actually said, doing these things, like looking for a stretch or shadow, or the things that he sent to me, he said that it would actually help me establish credibility. So it's interesting and that was months ago, actually. So it's interesting to see that in this article around a career lattice. They then go on number 3 to talk about focusing on work that you love, what energizes you, what type of activities or key operational things that you do enjoy doing, and asking your leadership, can you do more of that and less of other things that you do not like doing. Number 4, thinking about the advantages of exploring that career lattice, whether you're new to your career or you're close to retirement. And they talk about the reasons around that. And they said also, don't rule out a promotion, right? Because just because you take on a stretch assignment, or you explore opportunities on other teams and establishing credibility with other teams with things you're not currently doing, but you may not be paid for it in the short term, but it could actually ultimately lead in the long term to a promotion with the more money, the better compensation, additional bonuses. Again, to me, it goes back to what I heard this morning on a podcast about, and it was real interesting, because they were talking about not working in technology, but still around another type of industry. But the person said, do you want to make a fast nickel or a slow dime? Right. And sometimes doing those things that help you make a slow dime in the short term, it may not seem advantageous, or sometimes you may just need that fast nickel for whatever reason. But taking advantage of those career lattice and that concept and doing those things could ultimately lead to the promotion or that slow dime. So, for example, they say if you feel ready to take on a new challenge at work, but there is no clear path to a promotion, consider an adjacent role that could put you in a better position for advancement and offer you new opportunities for learning, skill building, again, upskilling, because you always, even if you're not interested in career ladder or whatever, you're happy in your position, I still think it's always important to always be continuously upskilling. that is, to me, that will always be your ram in the bush. And to me, a ram in the bush is, no, you're always ready. You have like a plan B and C. So if something does happen to the position or the role that you're in, you have your ram in the bush, your up skills, the skills that you have been doing around this just learning, continuous learning. You already have those skills, and it just puts you at a better advantage if something happens. And then also relationships building. That's always important. No matter what even if you're comfortable in your position, you don't have no plans on leaving, you're happy, etc. Those relationships will take you so much further than anything, right? Because it's not who you know, is who knows you and who knows what your capabilities are. So just consider that, because they say employers are eager to retain people who have demonstrated that they are adaptable, that they're dynamic, that they're flexible, that they want to learn, that they're willing to continuously improve themselves. And the most important thing I saw, there was a couple of key things from this article. Well, not this article, but around this new research that Korn Ferry did about career lattice. But they said it can be especially useful during the downturn. Because we've heard I've been hearing over the financial podcast that I've been listening to for the past like 2 years that recession, we're either about to go in a recession, we're in a recession, or but they said these career lattices are useful during downturns because employees who are multi-skilled, again, digital upskilling, and open to opportunities are much more likely to be reassigned and retained. Yes, that's the topic today, y'all. So career ladder the career ladder being replaced by the career lattice, and thinking about what that means for you no matter what industry you're in. I'm a registered nurse who works in tech. You may be a teacher who works for a private school. You may be a chef who is just finishing up, I don't know, culinary school. I'm just throwing some things out, but thinking about just different skills that as you're doing your daily regular work that you can add on to prepare and position yourself to be ready if things does change, or if an opportunity does present itself, you will be ready. So there, those YouTube channels that I mentioned at the beginning of this video, check those out, right? Like JT Automations, he talks a lot about like technology and like the automation of different industries. There's another professor who has a YouTube channel. I can't recall his name, but like Erica Williams, Black Women Making Money, Women in Linux. She talks a lot about like upskilling and preparing yourselves. Again, ACD4N, educational consultant. She talks a lot about that. So yeah, always adding things and thinking about what we can do or be doing, even if it's little small bites at a time. Even if you only have the capacity to do 15 minutes of some type of career development or improvement for yourself per week, that 15 minutes will take you so much further than doing nothing. That's the topic today, y'all. I hope everyone has a good day. Had a good day. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next video.